So, very good afternoon and welcome to Primate Pro, and wish you a very happy new year. So, how is your New Year's Day went? Probably you all have enjoyed a lot of fun. Now back to studies. So we'll continue with lecture number 2 of breathing and respiration from the human physiology. So we have left out in the alveoli in the last lecture, and I will continue with the continuing part from the alveolar duct today. So let's start. Okay, so alveolar duct. Alveolar duct. Alveolar duct passes the air to the alveoli. Here, alveoli is the site of exchange of the gases between the blood and the environment. Okay, alveoli. So you can write is main diffusion site. Main diffusion site. Highly vascular and thin walled. Walls are very much thin. Both lungs comprises of approx 30 million alveoli. So 30 million alveoli are present in both of the lungs. We have one pair of lungs, that is two lungs. Each lungs carries of approximate of 15 million of alveoli. So each lungs 15 million alveoli. Okay, now how does when in a cases of lungs burst, or in some cases we see the collapsing of the alveoli happens. The collapsing of the alveoli, this phenomenon is known as atelectasis. Note it down. Note, collapsing of alveoli, atelectasis. Okay, now I am drawing a simple diagram of an alveoli. Okay, now these are the simple squamous epithelium. These are the simple squamous epithelium, drawing with red color. These are present inside the alveoli. Simple squamous epithelium. This simple squamous epithelium generally performs the function of the diffusion of gases. Okay, these are the simple squamous epithelium. Now with the blue color I am drawing the basement. Okay, these are the basement. These are the basement I am drawing with blue dots. Okay, now these are simple squamous, that is the alveoli. Now this is the basement. Basement, that is non-cellular. non-cellular. Okay, these are the I need some dark color. Okay, now I'm giving this new color here. These are the pulmonary capillary. These are pulmonary capillaries. Fluorescent green. These are the pulmonary These are pulmonary capillary. Capillaries. Okay. Pulmonary capillaries and endothelium. These are endothelium. Okay. Here the O2 is exchanged and the CO2 is expelled out. Okay, this is called the diffusion boundary. Okay, from the simple squamous epithelium to the endothelium, simple squamous epithelium to endothelium, simple squamous epithelium basement plus endothelium is called diffusion boundary. Okay, now we come to the respiratory system. The respiratory system, give it a heading. The respiratory system See, the respiratory system consists of the two zones. One is conducting zone and another is one is the conducting zone and another is the exchange or the respiratory zone. So we can divide it into two. One is conducting zone and the other is exchange or respiratory zone. This conducting zone also consists of the anatomical dead space. I will describe it later. Anatomical dead space. Here no exchange of gases happens. Here exchange of gases. Okay, now this consists of the external nostrils up to terminal bronchiole. एक्सटर्नल नॉस्ट्रिल से टर्मिनल ब्रोंकियल तक जाता है. फंक्शंस: conduct the air to respiratory zone and vice versa. बाहर का एयर एटमॉस्फेरिक एयर को अंदर लेता है, वो कंडक्ट करता है, और जो अंदर से CO2 और एक्सक्रीटेड एयर है वो बाहर लेते हैं. ये कंडक्टिंग जोन का पहला और मेन फंक्शन है. ठीक है. ह्यूमिडिफिकेशन ऑफ एयर, ह्यूमिडिफिकेशन ऑफ एयर And the third one is trap the dust particles. Trapping the dust particles. Okay, now the exchange part function of the exchange part. Function the exchange of gases. So the exchanging of the respiratory zone has a simple function to exchange the gases. That is, the actual respiration occurs here in the alveoli or the respiratory zone. Okay, now we comes to the thoracic chamber. Thoracic chamber is a chamber where actual the lungs are situated. It is also called the mediastinal spaces. Mediastinal spaces are the space where the heart is also situated. The thoracic chamber के अंदर lungs है, और जो lungs के बीच में जो heart रहता है ना, उधर का mediastinal spaces कहला जाता है. Mediastinal spaces are those spaces that where the heart is there. Okay. So come to lungs. Okay, so lungs, one pair of lung is situated in the thoracic chamber, not Jurassic chamber, it's thoracic chamber. Okay, now in the right lung, so I need to draw a simple structure of the lung. Okay. Now okay, now here the heart actually lies. The heart, let me draw it with a red color. Heart. Here the heart is there. Let it consider as a heart. Okay, now this is covered by a thin membranous layer. The covering of the lung is called known as pleura. The covering of the lungs is called pleura. Okay, now these are the cartilages. These are the cartilages. Okay, now yes, this is called the parietal pleura. The external pleura is called the parietal pleura. Towards the thoracic chamber lining. Towards thoracic linings. This is called visceral pleura. Towards lungs. This is the left lung. This is the cardiac notch. This is the cardiac notch. Cardiac notch. Okay, this is called the diaphragm. Diaphragm is made up of phrenic muscle. Phrenic muscle. Diaphragm is made up of phrenic muscle. Here the liver is there. Okay. Right lung is lightly positioned upper with respect to left lung due to liver. Okay, now heat contains this area contains pleural fluid. This is pleural fluid. Fluid between two membrane of pleura. Okay, this is the pleural fluid. Okay, now the thoracic chamber. Thoracic chamber क्या है? What is the thoracic chamber? Now come to thoracic chamber. Thoracic chamber. Thoracic chamber, it is an airtight chamber. Thoracic chamber is an airtight chamber in which the lungs is situated. It is an airtight chamber in which lungs are situated. Okay, so you can say it. I'm drawing a picture, trying to draw a picture. We see this is sternum. Sternum is this midline bone is called the sternum. Okay, so some rib cages are there. Okay, 3 ribs are there which joins with the vertebral column at the back side and with the sternum in the front. These are true ribs. These are true ribs. Okay, the ribs which join at the dorsal side, that is the vertebral column, and the frontal side in the sternum, these are called the true ribs. Let me say you 3 to 4 medical terms. This is, if this is the midline, this is called superior, this is the inferior. Towards midline it's medial, away from the midline it's lateral. So this is the medial, but this is lateral because this position is towards the midline, this surface. Now from this surface, this clip is medial side of this pen and this one is the lateral side of this pen. Okay, now, and if I coordinate it into a x-axis and y-axis, this upper half is called the upward extremity or the upper extremity and the lower half is called the lower extremity. Okay, now okay, the ribs which doesn't join with the vertebral column but are connected with the true ribs on the backward side are called the false ribs. See, these are the false ribs, but in the front side they are connected with the sternum. These are the false ribs. Okay, these are the false ribs. Okay, now yes, dorsal VC, that is vertebral column, ventral, that is on the front side, ventral, it consists of sternum. Lateral consists of ribs, and the bottom consists of diaphragm. Okay, now these are the ribs. नोट, ये नोट में लिख लो कि एनी चेंज इन द thoracic chamber volume is directly reflected in pulmonary volume. Diaphragm is there. Okay, now we come to the next part. That is the mechanism of breathing. What is mechanism of breathing? Mechanism of breathing, give the topic. Mechanism of breathing. Okay, associated muscles involved. Muscle involved. 1. The diaphragm. Diaphragm is the main muscle that is involved in breathing. Okay, now second one is the internal intercostal muscle. Intercostal muscle. And the third one is external intercostal muscle. We call it IICM and EICM. And the fourth one is abdominal muscle. Okay, now if this one is the sternum, and this one continues to be the ribs, if this one is the sternum and this one continues to the ribs, this is the intercostal muscle. Inner, and this one is external intercostal muscle, is outer. Okay, now this one is the sternum. Okay, now we come to the next point, the principle behind breathing. The principle behind breathing. Air moves from high partial pressure to low partial pressure. So P proportional to 1 by V. If P needs change, then change in V. So if I need to change the pressure, I need to change the volume. If the volume is changed, the pressure will also automatically get changed. Okay, now in the next we comes to the normal inspiration or normal inhalation. What is the normal inhalation or the normal inspiration? Normal inspiration is nothing but the see, if I continue on, normal inhalation, normal inhalation. So P, pressure outside be more compared to the pressure inside the lungs, or thoracic chamber. Okay, so pressure outside is fixed. We cannot change the atmospheric pressure. Until and unless we change the altitude, we cannot change the atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is fixed by nature. So we have to change the thoracic chamber pressure by the nerval coordination from the medulla oblongata, which is responsible for changing the thoracic pressure of the lungs. Okay. Now, the pressure outside the lungs is constant. So we need to change the volume of the thoracic chamber. As we change the volume of the thoracic chamber, the pressure will slowly come down inside the thoracic chamber. So pressure outside will be greater than the pressure inside. So the gases will be passively profused into our lungs. So we just increase the volume of the thoracic chamber by the nerval coordination of different muscle. Okay, as we change the volume of the thoracic chamber, the thoracic chamber gets enlarged. So thoracic chamber as well as get enlarged, the pressure inside the thoracic chamber comes down. When the pressure comes down, the outside pressure stays as was fixed. So the high pressure at the outside will gradually diffuse the pressure where the is low. So the oxygen comes into the oxygenated air comes from the atmosphere towards our lungs. Okay. So pressure inside can be changed by changing the volume, Okay. Now, which muscles are responsible? The diaphragm and the external intercostal muscle are responsible for changing the volume of the thoracic chamber. Okay. So diaphragm and the external intercostal muscle. So diaphragm contracts, becomes flat from dome. The volume of thoracic chamber increases. The volume of the thoracic chamber increases anteriorly and posteriorly. Okay, as its dome shaped, it's get flattened. As it gets flattened, the volume of the thoracic chamber gets increased, thus well that the pressure gets decreased. So the pressure of thoracic chamber decreases. So thus intrapulmonary pressure decreases. So contraction, in case of contraction, ribs and sternum move upward and outward. Volume of the thoracic chamber, dorso-ventrally. Pressure of thoracic chamber decreases. Intrapulmonary pressure decreases. This way we generally conduct the normal inhalation. In the next video I will try to make you teach how the exchange of gases happens and what happens in the alveoli, how the bicarbonated or the deoxygenated blood gets exchanged and the oxygenated blood gets diffused in the blood. I'll make you teach in the next lecture. Okay, till then wish you a very happy new year, and I'll in the next lecture I will make it from the next part. Okay, thank you. Do subscribe this channel and stay with me. Thank you.